Here are the discs that we'll be testing out today, primarily focusing on the tilt, and that's coming up in the baseline plastic. Then we have the green Metal Flake Max. Underneath the Max we've got that yellow, it's a Champion Max, but it's got bubbles in the rim and it is flat and firm, FAF. Then the tie-dye color, we got a FAF Firebird, Champ Firebird, and then we have a Lucid X Felon in the blue. Primarily going to be focusing on the flat top Firebird as well as the Metal Flake Max against the tilt to see how it kind of performs, but we might be throwing the other two, the FAF Max and as well as the Lucid X Felon in there as well. Now the one we've been waiting for. Oh gosh. Definitely more stable. And then skip. Compare that to what you got, A1. Chuck's got his A1.
Bringing the steak sauce to this beef party.
I'm gonna try to throw a forehand. It's gonna be sad.
Fucking aim that way.
No, not with height. Max doing overstable stuff.
One Starfire.
Max. Just way more dump on that tilt. Now it looks like the Max. Got some distance. And now the tilt. Yank that Max over. Oh, upside down. He says ouch, upside down, and it's still hyzered. Try to throw it upside down. My poor attempt.
Darren said it's like 200.
250 to the
250.
around 250 probably.
250 to the goal.
Oh my gosh, it flies.
It flies better upside down than it does right side up. Try the same thing with my Max. Actually didn't feel bad.
Coming in hot, coming.
Parked. 250 on the Mako. I feel pretty good about that. What is this guy? Oversleep.
That's a little bit. Yeah, just
Max
put it on some Annie.
So he's gonna try a roller, maybe? Nope, too stable to roll. That was spiky. Doesn't want to pan out on a thumber. I wonder if a roller. That's actually really handy. It doesn't pan at all.
It doesn't pan out at all. Okay, straight up and down.
And that hyzered. Wow.
That's the throw, upside down. Upside down forehand.
How'd you throw it? Pick up the Max and show me how you just threw that. Threw it almost like a Annie. Dang. So, thumber. Unreal. Upside down thumber, almost as if you're throwing like a Flex Annie forehand, but with a thumber grip. And it flies like a nose up forehand about 250 feet. Way further than you can throw it in backhand or forehand, right side up. Dumb. I'm gonna try thumber with the flat top Firebird. Not much of a thumber, but we'll see. Not 100%, but my shoulder can't throw 100% on the thumber. Try the Max. My shoulder's gonna hate me after this. Nope. Very slow pan. Alright, so the tilt never really came out of the slow pan on the thumber. Not really much of a thumber guy myself, but Firebird ended up kind of turning and coming back. Max did it a little sharper, and then the tilt just never did. It just flipped over and just kind of kept riding. So that's how that ended up. Here's my thoughts on the tilt after a couple hours of some field work. Simon and Eagle's hype about this disc is real. It is definitely the most overstable disc I've ever thrown, hands down. I've thrown Nuke OS's, I've thrown Metal Flake Max's, I've thrown OptoX Stilettos. None of them have the stability that this thing has in terms of pure flight. I was taking a look at the numbers. I'm not sure if the 9116 is actually the correct ones. I would definitely say it's a fade of 5. The glide is definitely no joke as well. The one glide is true. If I could give it a half or zero glide, I probably would. This thing does not glide at all, and I think that's where this disc really stands out from those other overstable discs. Those other ones that I mentioned previously do tend to have the same dump as this thing, but as far as true stability, the way this thing flies, it doesn't even try to glide at all. So that's what sets this thing apart from any Max that I've thrown, Metal Flake, FAF, whatever you want to call it. This is a very, very overstable disc. The disc itself does, in the hand, feel a little bit weird because it has basically no shoulder on it. When you look at it, it is true flat top. Like, it's designed to be flat, not forced to like some flat top Firebirds and other flat discs. They're not designed to be that flat initially out of the box. So this thing sets itself apart that way because the shoulder, when you put it in your hand, it just feels a little different. It doesn't feel bad. After you've thrown a little while, you kind of get used to that feeling. It doesn't quite feel comfortable, I'll say that, but it's not something that hurts the performance of the overall disc in terms of getting your reach back in your snap and everything. It doesn't affect it or anything like that. It just feels a little strange. It'll definitely take some getting used to. As far as what you do with this disc, in terms of what shots it might cover in your bag, it really depends on your power and skill level and the shots that you currently have in your bag. For backhand and forehand players that want to just throw this as a backhand and forehand, it's just not going to fly. This thing doesn't. It immediately, no matter what kind of angle you put it on, it's trying to fight back and get out of it. It's not a good disc for actual flight, and because of that, I'm not even sure if it's really even that good of a wind disc. The glide will, the one glide basically that the flight numbers have on this disc, basically prohibit it from being affected at all at the wind. I'm not sure if this thing, even into some nasty 40-50 mile an hour headwinds, is really going to affect it that much. It's just going to cut through it and dump the same way it normally does. The problem with it is, as an approach disc, as just a flick or a backhand approach disc, is because it tries to dump immediately, it tends to get on edge. So anywhere around where there's any sort of elevation or slope, you're not going to get much of a chance to have it stick, even with this kind of baseline plastic. Maybe if they came out with a soft version, but that I don't see them doing this in too many plastics if they ever do more runs of it. In terms of uses for this disc in your bag, it's definitely just a utility disc. You're throwing it for get out of jail shots, overhand shots, things where you need to put weird angles on it and still need it to fly a certain way, but it's going to take a lot of practice to get it to fly because it's so overstable. It's kind of finicky. So putting this disc down on angles is going to be something that you as a player are going to have to decide whether this specific disc is going to be the one that you'll want to learn and practice those shots on, or if you just have another disc in your bag already that like a Max or a Firebird, Felon, Opto-X Stiletto, those crazy angles, get out of jail free cards. Those are the kind of shots that this disc is for, but it's not very useful in other conditions. You can't even with a good flex on it, you're not going to get much of a flight on it. But this thing, I don't think any of us got it past that soccer net, which was about 250, 270 away, depending on where we were kind of throwing from. But none of us ever got the tilt any further than that. So there are other discs, I feel like, that serve other purposes in your bag that this disc might not necessarily fill. So it's kind of a catch-22 whether this disc is the disc that you want to bag for those particular shots. It definitely has its utility. And personally, my favorite shot was only about 30% power. I'm not much of a thumber thrower, but one of the things that I did with this disc was throw it only about 20 or 30% of power, just straight up and down, just overhead, just nice and easy, just a nice little lob. And it basically caught edge, and it kept going straight and straight and straight for all of that 250 foot. I actually got it into the net with that on that kind of thumber roller, which I've never seen a thumber roller work out before. But yeah, it never tried to pan out, throwing it, just about 10 feet up in the air. And it just came straight down and caught edge and kept going dead straight. Didn't veer much to the left or right. I tried doing it again a couple different times, and same result. I put a little more power into it, and a little bit more power made it kind of pan a little bit, but then it ended up just kind of being a kind of a very, very slow roller to the right. It ended up going a little bit to the right as far for my right hand thumber roller, which again is still kind of blowing my mind to say, a thumber roller. But there are other things that you can do with this disc that I think the more people with different skills and abilities will be able to get out there and throw. Eagle McMahon has 4 or 5 different shots on his kind of review of the disc that showed some potential, but not all of us have Eagle McMahon power, and not all of us will be able to throw those kind of lines. But it definitely has potential for use in people's bags. I definitely see it as a type of disc that other manufacturers might end up making down the road just for that specific utility shot, because there's absolutely no other disc on the market that will do the things that this disc does, because it's so unbelievably overstable. It's something that I think a lot of players will try to, just use it straight up as a utility disc, and I think that's what it's designed for. That's what it's made for. And Simon Lizotte, if anyone was able to kind of master a utility disc like this, it will be Simon Lizotte. Now, I definitely think we'll be seeing this disc pulled out on some disc golf coverage, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. One of the things I kept thinking about as I was throwing this disc and trying different shots with it was the Arobi Epic, which was recently made not PDGA legal. It's one of those weird discs that you throw it regular forehand or backhand, it doesn't fly very worth a darn, but for a thumber or a tomahawk thrower, those discs fly unbelievably well on some really weird lines. This disc is a fun disc to kind of play around with, but I'm really not sure that it's going to be something that will be making my bag, at least not at this time, until I start seeing some other shots that I can throw with it. It's just it's too stable for me, guys. That's all there is to it. It lives up to the hype. It is the most overstable disc. So I'm hoping down the road people will be starting to carve out some good throws and some good shots with this disc, and looking forward to seeing your guys' feedback in the comments. So let me know if you've thrown it, if you've seen some similar results, if you think this is something that will make your bag, what kind of shots are you throwing it for? Let me know. And as always, guys, like and comment below if there's anything you want to see from me, or there's any sort of disc reviews that you want to do, disc comparisons. I'm always looking for some good content to throw to you guys, so let me know. Thanks.